this kind of physical, emotional, and all of these various aspects of the system, is this total effort to remain the same. The same. And you have feedback system. So the moment, for instance, now you're meditating, right? And now too much change, the thermostat kicks in. Oh, I'm about to change. Let me drop this meditation, right? Now you know, it doesn't. You may not say it. You may not want to confess it, right? But oh, something finna change. Let me drop. Let me stop. Let me pull back. Now, let me tell you another thing that goes on. Even the other things that you are in relationship with are interdependent. So you may not experience the resistance on your level. It will be in the level of your mate. Now, you getting up too much. You're getting up at the wrong time. Now, she will start resisting that. And you will experience the resistance because you are part of a larger system than just yourself. So what I want you to begin to see that at every level of your relationship, there will be resistance whenever there's progress and change, right? And not to be alarmed. It's a good sign. So when the wife says that, man, you getting too way out here now, she'll let you know, you trying to stop eating meat, that you know, you ain't sexing like you used to sexing, and you don't want to go to the place. What? Hey, you change, hey, you got to cut this stuff out. She's saying that, hey, you better come turn back. Don't change, right? And she will try to hold you, because relationships are homostatic, right? And the thing is that when you get that resistance, you see, not to panic. It's a good sign. You are evolving. You are growing. Rejoice. Celebrate, right? But don't give in, right? Now you have patience. And without patience, you can't practice. Just keep your practice going. So practice is rooted in patience. Patience is rooted in this deep understanding. Without deep understanding, you can't be patient. You will panic every time, you see. And pull back. So not to worry. This resistance that you are feeling in yourself for certain levels of the practice is a sign that you're making progress in itself. You see? In the sense that you are actually beginning to evolve, you're beginning to change, right? And don't interfere with that, right? Don't interfere with that. There will be time when you just, damn, I gotta barbecue. You know, I gotta have me some pork. You see what I'm saying? And it's just tearing you up. But you should expect that, right? Because just because you decided to be a vegetarian, you know, those deep structures wasn't a part of your decision. You understand? And that whole thing is conditioned to pull you back into homostasis, right? So when you feel this urge to have some pork, don't say you bad and you evil and you no good and you unworthy. What is that? That's nonsense. This is natural what's going on here. You see my point? Because now when you start beating up on yourself, you actually start weakening yourself. It's just the reverse. The more you beat up on yourself, the more you will backslide every time. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you don't beat up on yourself.
No, you don't beat up on yourself.
But eventually, something has to change, because if you don't beat up on yourself at some point in time, it doesn't seem to motivate you to change.
You negotiate. What Brother Akins was saying is profound. You have to learn how to negotiate your own self. You see, on the path they say sometimes the path is about taking one step backward and take two steps forward. You know, we talk about falling on the path, but falling forward, right? But you're right. There has to come a point in time where it will come if you keep practicing. See, the key is to keep practicing.
Because if you don't, at some point, at least tell yourself that what you're doing is not necessarily, is not right. Then can't you become comfortable and say, well, okay, I'll just go on and do it, because I'm not supposed to beat up on myself.
That's again, that is another way of, the resistance is already there. And that's just another way of us voicing our resistances. We rationalize it. That itself is a form of it. Right? Because you wouldn't even be making that statement unless you had gotten close, right? See, so you begin to see, that's why I say you have to see how you manifest this resistance inside of yourself. And sometimes it is in that form of letting yourself off the hook, rationalizing. You see my point? And so you avoid that, right? And say, no. You know, this is just my unconscious rationalizing it. You know, you don't even fall for it. You see my point? Otherwise, it will get you wanted, right? When you don't understand what those thoughts are really all about. those thoughts are bubbling up out of this very resistance, right? So you know, no, you won't fall for that. Otherwise, it'll get you, and you are gone. Yes, Sister Edwina?
It seems that, you know, from Alcoholics Anonymous, they have like a support group. And on one of the tapes you mentioned that you take refuge in the community.
Yes.
Or in the other people who are on the path.
Yes.
But what if you don't know anybody on the path? I mean, for instance, as the sister said, if you get weak, or if you start to beat up on yourself, is it somebody you can call, or is it,
well,
you know, taking refuge
sure,
is all right
sure.
to say,
yeah.
But, you know, can I dial somebody's number and say, hey?
That's the whole point. And that's what Pam was alluding to, that in a Sangha, it's only a Sangha. This is only a Sangha to the extent that that is possible, right? Because that's what a Sangha exists to do. It is to be there for us as a sense of refuge in these moments of weaknesses arising out of the resistance that is natural to coming out of this homeostatic state. You see, it's made up of people who are all on the same path. We all understand each other. There's no condemning involved. None of these other things, you see. And so you're absolutely right. That is the advantage of being a part of a community of other fellow practitioners, is that you have this kind of support. It is very difficult without it. And even at the inorganic, on organic levels, you have to find that there's sort of like a chemical somehow, right? That none of these individual cells in and of themselves can do anything. You see, it's all interconnected.
And
Yes,
I think that's what's so good about the wine shop.
I've heard about this wine shop. The wine shop is such a place, huh?
Yeah.
Where you get able to really have real, honest interaction with each other and overcome your accumulation of resistance. But satsang is so important, as Pam pointed out, for that very reason. It is an antidote, right, that helps offset this natural building up of resistance. Key point again is understanding that this resistance is natural, right? You're bound to have it, right? And so when you're feeling yourself being very resistant to the path, when you're having the struggle is at its peak, you know, then take refuge in the Sangha. You see? That's what the Sangha is for, right? Sometimes you can take refuge in the teachings. Sometimes just revisiting the teachings can help overcome. You see? We take refuge in the gurus, you see? Because just sometimes the thought of the guru is enough, right? To help us come over that, etc. So we have all of these refuges just for those purposes, to give us some means of overcoming the resistance that is naturally going to be a part of traveling the path. And not to feel shame and all these other things. There is no place on the path for shame and guilt. Absolutely no place for it. You see, shame and guilt belongs to religion. It has no place on it. We don't deal with it. You see, it doesn't work. You can't motivate yourself by making yourself feel guilty. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Motivation is nothing but the management of fear. Yes, sister.
I was relating to how you go into meditation and you begin to start focusing, and all of these different things start coming up. Would you say that this is part of attachment?
Yes, all of these things. You see, you're attached to not just things, you're attached to thoughts, you're attached to feelings. Attachment is a big thing. Because remember, attachment is nothing but a reflection of all of the components of the self, all of the things that go to make up your sense of identity, right? And so naturally, you attach, for instance, to your beliefs. That's one of the big attachments, isn't it? Now, we all have formed some beliefs. And we don't understand that your beliefs is not synonymous with truth at all. And so we cling to our beliefs, right? Which shuts out the experience of truth. We can't have the experience of truth. So we even cling to our beliefs. So there's clinging on all levels of our being. And in meditation, naturally, what is happening again? There's a kind of mental homeostasis that you are in. You're used to thinking only about certain things. My car, my business, you have your things, right? And you have your standard state of mind. Now, some of us, our standard state of mind is a little, it's a little questionable, but basically, most of us have a state of mind that tends to be homeostatic. that we do not want to stop thinking about these. We want to think about these things. This is what we think about. This is what I do with my mind. And I don't want to change what I'm doing with my mind. So now when the Guru Sahib says, meditate during the day, do your Simran during the day. Now you have a lot of resistance to that because, hell, this 10 o'clock, Bhagwan, and you know, at 10 o'clock, I'm thinking about myself, man. You see, or I'm thinking about, this is what I do at my daytime mind. And you interfere with that. So there's resistance now. It's not that you don't know that you should be taking every opportunity to do as much Simran as possible. You know that. You ain't stupid, right? That's not the problem. But there's a resistance to implement that part of the teaching because it now causes you to change your mental pattern, your mental habits, right? So we all have these things. So Shalom, your insight is profound. And it does, your mental habit doesn't voila disappear because you sat down in the lotus posture at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's the same mind that you had all day long, right? In the same state that it's been in all day long. So when you sit down and meditate, you're really encountering the resistance at the level of your mind, aren't you? Right? If you're lucky. Because if you're not lucky, you can't even overcome the resistance at the level of your body. So the issue of dealing with your mind don't even arise. You follow my point, sister?
I was going to say that at some point that you just, and for me, I just allow all that stuff to just come and just let it happen for at least 5 minutes. And then after a certain time, I say, okay, now this is it.
If that works for you, that's fine.
Let me focus.
If that works for you, you negotiate. You're handling it. You're not trying to pretend that it's not the case.
Absolutely.
You're not trying to split it off. You see, what we call shadow.
Because it comes right back.
It comes right back. You're not trying to suppress or repress it. It depends on how you handle it and the relationship that you take to it, right? And that is each of our responsibility. We have to begin to develop a kind of relationship with all of these things, right? And like Brother Ray was saying, is that we can't pretend they're not there anymore. You see, and you can't kill it. You see, because that is also a part of the you. Remember, your you consists of both your positives, qualities, and your negatives. You follow me? If you try to kill your negatives, you will kill your positives. Because they're hooked together, right? Yes, Brother Malana Ram.
You mentioned turning fear into motivation.
Yes.
I was just wondering, can it go just strictly from fear to motivation, or is there another process that it has to go to? Because the fear has to get converted into something else, and then that something else becomes motivation. It's like a big jump.
Yes, like a big leap. Here's the thing, here's the process. There's only 2 fundamental emotional states, fear and love. That is it. Everything else is on a spectrum in between that. Now, the thing that happens, Brother Milan, is that fear generates anger. Anger is rooted in fear, right? Fear is the primary reaction. Anger is a secondary reaction. It is an action that triggers empowerment, right? So anger is understood as an energy that it arises out of fear. When we talk about motivation, motivation is made up of this anger energy, isn't it? Right? That is what gives you the energy to overcome the obstacle or whatever it is you're motivated to achieve. The energy that gives you the ability to accomplish that goal is made out of the same energy called anger that was triggered by the fear. So ultimately what happens then, in terms of mental stuff, if you manage your fear, right, you will be able to be self-motivated. The management of fear is fundamental. On the path, for instance, you must develop excellent skills at managing your fear. If we think about it for a moment, what are the objects of fear? Many of you have taken the anger classes with me, but you haven't taken the fear workshop. Maybe I should do a 10-week fear workshop, Pam, so to give you the deep structure of the whole thing. The key is managing your fear. But I want you to understand, fear is natural. Because you have fear don't make you a bad, evil, no good so-and-so, so-and-so, right? Fear is natural. It has a legitimate function, right? Problem is not fear. The problem is the mismanagement of fear. You see? And we have to begin to enjoy the distinction. So one of the objects of fear is change. That's what we've been talking about here. All right? At any level. Whenever there's a change, there is fear, because you do not want to ever be other than what you are in terms of your sense of self. You want to remain yourself, right, at all costs, right? So naturally there's a fear of anything that will cause a change in yourself. Now, motivation, for instance, we were talking about it. You want to accomplish something, but you can't accomplish that thing. Why? Because you're afraid of the action that must be engaged in to achieve the goal. So you're afraid of the action, right, that is linked to the outcome. But when you look at your relationship to the action itself, what is the fear of the action based on? The fear of the action is based on this fear that this action will cause me to change. Or this fear of the action will cause me to go in the unknown. Or this fear of the action will cause me to suffer. Somewhere in that arena, this action will produce more pain. And so you link the experience of pain to the action. Now, I cannot adopt a vegetarian diet. I cannot take that action, right? Because my fear is that I will suffer. What am I going to eat? Damn, I ain't going to be able to eat none that I like. You see? And I can't overcome that fear. Hence, I can never practice the vegetarianism. Right? I can't meditate because my fear of meditation is that, my God, you know what I mean? I gotta get up and set aside this time. He's gonna cut into this and gonna cut into that. And somehow you see meditation as some kind of loss, deep down. Not at the surface, because you're too clever. You read too many books. You see what I'm saying? Right? So this can't be seen at the surface level, but at the deep structural level, you still are associating loss with your meditation. And rightfully so, because meditation is a loss in the sense of how you were. You're going to lose some of that. So naturally there's some resistance there, right? Not to worry, right? So it's really profound, and I know that you're a clinician, and maybe that'll be a good occasion for us to converse about that in the reports and things of that nature, and maybe share with you some of the literature on that. But that is the key then to motivation. When you're motivating a person, all you're really doing is managing their fear, because they can't manage it themselves. That's all a good motivator does, is manage your fear. They link pain, they link pleasure to the thing that you were once afraid of. And this linking of pleasure to the action automatically makes you move. Anything else? Have I thoroughly confused everybody? All right. There's nothing else. Then when do we meet again? Back at Thurgood Market?
Thurgood Market, May 10th.
May 10th? Yes, brother.
Anything else to explain about the trip to Virginia?
Bernita is here today, so everybody see her. When is that trip scheduled for, sister?
The 26th of May.
So we got to start getting you money. So, all right.
Or Bilal.
Or Bilal will give you money. Okay. I hope that, did everybody get a copy of this pamphlet, Varataji, that you and Ansam has? You want to hold them up, Pam? I strongly recommend that all of you stop back there. It's a free piece, and get a copy of that pamphlet on the demands of the spiritual life that has been put together and by, I'm sure, Emma and Sab and Barakaji, and to make sure that you get a good insight into that material. All right, Rashe Kumar. Now, where do we go? Out south now, on 79th Street?
Yeah.